Hello, Fiendlings, how the hell are you? I have a special date for you, one you won't want to be late for. The Black Arrival 2nd Edition will be available for your ebook trade paperback needs on Valentine's Day, February 14th. The same day, I'll be dropping the first episode of the Fireside audio version of The Black. You get to hear Joe Hempel bring my characters and the story to life. The cool part about all of this is by the time The Black finishes its podcast run, Arrival will be right behind it, and etc. until the entire series podcast run finishes sometime in 2025-2026, depending. The Black, however, won't be the only thing in the podcast feed. You're going to get an Ancient Trap later this year, and should I finish it and all the stars align, perhaps the first book in Gravity's Bane, the follow-up series to the Derelict Saga. In short, 2023 is going to be chock full of content. Hope you're ready for it all. Until The Black starts, how about a little tale to tide you over? Jury-Rigged was written for the Luck Is Not a Factor short story anthology, which takes place in the mech-ridden universe of the Four Horsemen, created by Chris Kennedy and Mark Wandry. If you like military sci-fi or love mechs, I highly recommend you check out the universe. Since the story was written for folks familiar with that universe, let me make a couple of things clear. First off, our intrepid narrator is part of a mercenary company. The mechs they drive are called Caspers, and the mineral known as F4 is the fuel used by starships in this universe. F4 is considered the most valuable substance known to human and alien kind. With that in mind, let's meet Nate and his ragtag company of crack mercs. Be safe, have a great week, we'll talk again real soon. Here's episode 1 of Jury-Rigged. There are some things no life forms should do for science, let alone the credits. Definitely one of them is just thinking about traveling to Ryeer Prime. It's one of those worlds where no one is home but there's plenty of minerals. Guess the Science Guild found it, or one of the many corporations constantly spewing out more and more exploratory nanoprobes to search for deposits of whatever strikes their fancy. Of course, the real prize is F4 deposits. That stuff is what allows everyone to do stupid things, like travel through space to reach planets like Ryeer Prime. After spending a week on the large engineering and HQ prefab, I knew more than I ever wanted to know about the cursed rock. It had a perfect azure sky completely unblemished by clouds. There was no land. The concentration of toxins in the atmosphere would kill you in 5 minutes if you stepped outside, sans suit. The oceans? Even more caustic. The kind of caustic where you drop in a piece of plastic and it burns away. In short, the planet was uninhabitable, at least on the surface. About 2 kilometers down, the liquid changes dramatically. The science geeks say it's some kind of effect where the toxic sludge is far more dense. Stuff sticks together like a jelly treat. That dramatic change? The ocean clears up but gets damned dark. The probes discovered life of a kind, but it was spread out. Just mean-looking fish-like things about the size of your palm. Nothing to worry about. Famous last words. The long and short of it is that the original probes discovered a large deposit of F4. That was enough to get anyone interested in the inhospitable planet. How big? Don't know. None of my business. We were lucky we even knew that's what's down there. We spent a week prepping the equipment in our modded Caspers. None of the models out there had been designed for the kind of pressure we faced, so we had to improvise. Our company's engineers spent an impressive 3 weeks putting these things together, replacing weapons attachments with tanks for the breathing liquid, increased precision hands, and an assortment of attachable tools. Being an environmental troubleshooter meant I was used to strange missions, like piloting a mech to a remote lab to rescue scientists that got a little too gene-happy. Or that time we jumped into a biological war zone to capture certain samples before another merc company did. Both times we'd had to carry special weapons to deal with the local wildlife as well as jury-rigged mechs to handle the atmosphere. But this was different. Instead of adding armor, loading the Casper with everything it could possibly carry, including augmented parts, the engineers had to remove thick plates of armor and any unnecessary equipment. The armor's replacement? Some lightweight alloy purpose-built to handle the pressure. The breathing liquid? Wasn't looking forward to that. Not one bit. See, at that pressure, around 48 gigapascals, any air inside the mech would result in it collapsing around you until there wasn't enough left of you to fill a drink can. So instead of O2, breathing liquid. Expel all the air from your lungs and let the fluid replace it. Felt like you were drowning when you first got in and filled the system. They made us practice that every day for 3 days straight while they worked out the kinks. When the day finally came, we gathered in the center of the descender platform. Wasn't much of a platform, really. More like an extra-large freighter cargo container made for lugging perishable goods. Large racks of tools, power cells, and drill sets covered the walls. All of this nonsense just to figure out how deep the F4 deposit went. Jack, my longtime mate at the company, had jokingly asked our boss whether or not the little fish the probes had found were dangerous. Holly, our combat and retrieval leader, essentially our sergeant, hadn't smiled at the question. They didn't vet this place well enough for my liking, she'd said. First sign of something unexpected, we get back to the platform and get back to the surface. Decon and decompression is going to take a while, but once we're done with that, we're clear. Client expects us to get this right the first time, she said. So pay attention, follow the instructions, and do it just like you practiced the last week. Practice. If that's what you called spending a quarter of every day in virtual reality going through simulation after simulation of handling the Waldos, the new tools, and accounting for problems with the equipment. Was a hell of a mental boot camp on our way to this place, but I didn't mind too much. At least we weren't going to get shot at. Once Holly finished the final briefing, we'd had our last bouts of waste clearance, said prayers to any and all gods, and ran through one more diagnostic scan. It was time to get in the container. No one really talked during the first 10 minutes as the container ballast emptied, and we slowly began the descent. At least we had a nice camera view of what we were going through. As we dropped through the first 100 meters or so, the bright starlight from the system's only star faded from a dim green glow to filtering through the toxic sludge to little more than a hint of color. The further we descended, the thinner the morass became. Occasional spots of darkness appeared as we left the dense mass behind us, or over us, whichever. By the time the veil of vile mush disappeared, we were well on our way to the bottom for the mining sample. 4 kilometers below the surface. 4 kilometers from help. 4 kilometers from anything. You'd think I'd be used to that, to being far from a redoubt or a staging area. Not like I haven't done my share of intrusion missions over the years, but this was somehow different. You might get your Casper shot up while out there trading bullets and rockets with another metal-suited being. You might take a plasma blast straight to the chest and be dead before you had a chance to fire countermeasures. You might even get slagged by orbital bombardment. Could happen. But with an entire ocean pressing down on you, knowing that a bit of metal and glass is keeping you safe from something that could dissolve you whole given enough time, with no way to eject, no way to just open the cabin and run for your damn life, it was different. The stakes were much higher. Even a personal survival suit wouldn't help you down here. Bottom line, if anything got through the armor, you were dead. The life-giving liquid circulating through the suit and our lungs would leak out through any perforations, and after a while, the ocean would start coming in. If you were lucky, you'd drown. If not, you'd freeze to death. I watched the cam feed until we dipped within 250 meters of our landing site. What I saw amazed me. There weren't many of the fish around, but they visited to pay their respects. Dastardly-looking things, all teeth, sensory organs, and fins that looked like they could cut through flesh. Damn good thing they were the size of a fist, else I'd have been worried. Still, there was a school of them, and while they lingered by the lights for a few seconds, they quickly found other items of interest, far away from us.
"Get ready,"
Holly said just before we gently landed on the ocean floor.
"Status checks?"
Jack said he was green. So did Barb and Gus. I was the last to give my status, but I always was. Unlike my other 3 squad mates and Holly herself, I triple-checked everything before I went into combat or a hazard zone.
"Let's pop the hatch and get to work,"
Holly said. The container's pumps went to work siphoning the clean water we'd descended with and replacing with Ryeer Prime's native ocean water. Safely inside our mechs, the switch from one liquid to another didn't mean much. My HUD went green and we were ready to rock and roll.
"All right,"
Holly said.
"Tool up. We'll start moving the drill skid into position. Jack, Nate, handle it." "Yes, ma'am,"
Jack and I said. We'd already practiced this procedure 1,000 times. Jack and I drove our mechs to the drill skid, and between the two of us, easily lifted it, while Holly, Barb, and Gus cleared the immediate area. When Holly gave the all clear, Jack and I moved forward and carried the drill skid through the container's opening. The water and the changing terrain made it difficult to keep the Casper balanced, but Jack and I managed. Our lights stabbed through the water, but without context, you couldn't even tell what you were looking at. Even the damned ocean floor was dark. The drill site wasn't far from 3 volcanic vents, so that might have explained it. But still, it was like walking on gravel, the Casper's feet crunching across the ocean floor, kicking up particulates and pieces of rock. We lugged the drill skid a good 100 meters from the landing platform, and Holly called for us to stop. We'd reached our target. Jack and I lowered the drill skid to the ocean floor and held it in place, while Gus and Barb lowered their Casper's metal arms to aim the powerful bolt guns into the platform's grommets. The 2 mechs punched pitons through the ocean floor to secure the platform. The tungsten bolts were nearly as long as your arm and custom made for this purpose. Holly said they were used for all drilling sites, just had to be modified for Caspers and underwater use. It's that last bit that concerned me. Without a proper survey and sampling of the soil and the rock below us, it was impossible to know if the pitons would hold. Then again, we were the survey team. Holly had said we just had to make the best of it. I didn't argue. Then again, I never do.
Jack, Nate, bring out the rest of the drilling assembly. We'll test the platform.
Neither of us said a word. We just rotated our mechs, an excruciatingly slow maneuver in the thick water, and headed back to the platform. The further we walked, the more the lights from the landing platform cast a gentle, ambient glow for a good 5-meter distance. It was a welcome sight compared to the impenetrable gloom, but at the same time, it was somehow worse. Shapes flitted through the glow just before retreating in the blink of an eye. You see them?
Yeah,
Jack said.
Sure as hell do.
They're little, right?
Is Whittle Snoogums afraid of the bad goldfish?
Jack's mocking voice made me smile. Bastard always could make me do that. Whittle Snoogums is concerned. He didn't have anything to say to that. The silence seemed to thicken with each step, each second. It got like that when you were expecting some less than hospitable company. The jokes, the chiding, the mocking for bringing up the obvious, all standard operating procedure. But when the jokes stopped, they stopped because everyone got that same feeling. A tickle across your nerves that makes your entire body hum and makes you wide-eyed and ready to fight for your life. The rush of adrenaline that follows that feeling is why we do this. We're nothing but junkies, always looking for that next high. Getting someone to pay for it makes it even better. That high? It was starting to kick in. We reached our glorified shipping container and made our way inside to get the drill. I half expected to see dozens or hundreds of the monstrous little fish, but nothing glided through the light. Maybe Jack and I had both been seeing things. Still, that feeling wouldn't go away. Even as we positioned ourselves, it was all I could do just to focus on securing the drill. I wondered if Jack felt the same way.
What's taking so long?
Holly asked over the comms.
We're coming,
Jack said. And with that, we stepped out of the landing platform and its brilliant circle of light. After a few steps, the ambient glow faded to nothing, leaving us alone with our mech lights and nothing else. At least we could see the beacon for the drill skid. Holly, Gus, and Barb had brought up the power and were ready for the drill. Halfway to the skid, I caught sight of something out of the corner of my eye. I broke my attention with the step cadence just for a second, already sure of my next footfall. Something had been there. Something that had moved like lightning, its shadow cast by the suit lights, while its flesh seemed invisible. "Holly?" I said, splitting my attention between Jack's cadence, the step rhythm, and the comms. She answered immediately, as though maybe she was just about to try us.
What was that, Nate?
"Saw a shadow, that's all," I said. "What did you see?"
Something blocked the light coming from your suits, just for an instant. Great,
Jack said.
Now what?
Holly remained silent for a moment, and I could almost hear her locked in debate with herself. She was thinking exactly what I was thinking. We either started to treat this like a combat mission, or we said fuck it and retreated as fast as we could.
Jack, Nate, get here as fast as you can. Yes, boss,
Jack said in between counts. The meters seemed to drag on rather than shorten. The last 5 lasted an eternity, but at least we had another bright ambient ring of light to see by, and familiar faces piloting the mechs around us. And they were watching our 6.
Gus, we'll handle the drill.
Holly said.
Stand watch. Yes, boss.
Gus said. Jack lifted his end of the drill while I put the Casper into a kneeling position, the massive diamond-studded drill head a mere half-meter from eye level. Barb and Holly moved into position, their Caspers providing more stability to keep the drill from leaning to either side. Ready, I said after making sure I'd lined up the cylinder with its slot and the drill skid.
If there's a problem, speak now,
Holly said. There was no reply. Okay, on 3. She counted down, and the 3 pairs of metal hands gripping the drill slowly flexed their fingers, alternately loosening their grip before tightening once again. I guided it centimeter by centimeter into the slot, a sharp exhale escaping my mouth and over the comms. Insertion, I said. Jack snorted.
Copy.
They continued their pace, but were less diligent now, less coordinated. It didn't matter. The drill's mid-ring gently touched the drill sleeve and came to rest. For a moment, the 4 of us froze as if we expected something to fall, something to fail. When nothing did, the entire team relaxed as one.
Well,
Holly said.
That was easy. God damn it.
Barb said.
What? 2 seconds after we complete the first objective and you're cursing us? Barb.
Jack said.
She's not the one that curses us when she does that. You are. Yeah.
Gus said.
Stop projecting. All right.
Holly said.
Gus, stay on sentry. You too, Barb. That means an extra trip for the drill string.
Jack said.
Sure does.
Holly said. We fell silent after that. That was the kind of leader she was. She'd let you talk, let you question, and then shut you down if she thought you were wrong. When she wasn't in the mood for your bullshit, she'd just shut you down immediately.
Jack, Nate, with me,
she said. Without another word, we turned our Caspers and headed back into the gloom, Jack taking point with me in the rear. As much as the terrain allowed, we kept a staggered formation, although none of our mechs had projectile weapons. Hell, the only kind of friendly fire we'd have is if one of us clubbed the other with the tools. Well, maybe the piton launchers could be used as weapons, but not much else. Halfway to the landing platform, the makeshift building's lights flickered as though something had blotted them out for an instant.
Slow down,
Holly said. Jack took shorter steps, Holly and I instantly changing our stride to match his. Anyone have a working radar? I said. I knew damn well the engineers had removed mine. I watched the bastards do it.
I do,
Barb said, her voice crackling slightly over the comms. Holly sighed.
Get it activated. Let's see what we can see. Jury-rigged pieces of shit,
Jack said.
Why the hell did they remove our radar arrays?
Said it would pick up way too much interference from the tectonic activity and the particulates in the water, and they needed the space for the refit.
Gus said.
Barb's worse because she's so damn light. They could leave its mass in.
Short and sweet,
Barb said.
That's me. Cut the chatter,
Holly said. She'd seen the same shadow Jack and I had 10 meters from the landing platform, and it had blotted out everything. A patter of brakes and the light followed in its wake, as though the ocean were raining darkness. I kept waiting for something to move, something to break my suit light's beams, so I could at least see what the hell it was. If the company had properly vetted this place, we'd know what it was, but all they'd seen were those small fish. What had they missed? When no other shadows broke the light, Holly gave us the all-clear, and Jack once again took point. The last few meters went faster than when we carried the drill to the drill skid, but not by much.
Nate, get a spare piton launcher. Jack, load up with the drill string. I'm going to go through the other spares. Copy,
Jack said. While he piloted his Casper to the racks on the bulkhead, I made my way to the tool racks. The engineers had thoughtfully provided double spares of nearly every tool we needed. If something broke, it wasn't as if we could get another one without surfacing, which would take hours. I pulled the piton launcher off the rack and attached it to the suit. Gus, Barb, how many pitons we have left? I asked.
4 spares,
Gus said.
You're bringing more?
I smiled. Yep. Holly trudged from the spares cabinet, a crate of goodies laying on the platform's metal floor. She hadn't yet closed the crate's lid, but I saw a few portable welding torches, mining charges, and a few other components I didn't even recognize. She sealed the crate and slotted her hands into its grips.
Jack, you got the drill string? First 10 sections,
he said.
Good enough. Whenever you boys are ready.
Ready, I said.
Me on point?
Jack asked. I got it, I said. I'm the only one with a projectile.
Not much of a projectile,
Jack said.
Damn thing is going to shoot like a spear for the first 5 meters and then lose stability. Doesn't have any fins.
Won't matter. If a hostile is big enough for me to worry about, it'll be close enough. Holly chuckled.
Okay, Nate, lead us out.
Now it was different. Even after watching for a moment to make sure we were clear, it felt as though we were being watched. Double timing it much faster than on any of the other trips out to the drill site, we quickly cut the distance. The ambient glow behind us broke twice, my breath catching in my throat each time. The lights from the drill skid grew brighter and brighter, our suit lights slowly fading into the brighter illumination, becoming one with it. The particulates in the water looked like dust motes floating in a ray of sunshine, and every step we took kicked up tiny clouds, but most of the material didn't make it above our knees. Jack and I unpacked the drill string while Gus and Barb emptied the pitons. The first pack of tungsten pipes would connect to the drill and provide a good 45 meters of length for the drill to drop. We had 4 crates of drill strings in total packed into the landing platform, but the science geeks had said we should only need 1 crate's worth to reach the deposit. 45 meters of metal driving an 800-kilogram drill into rock. We fitted the first long pipe in its slot and stood back from the drill assembly. Barb attached the power leads from the engine to the drill assembly and flicked the switch. A series of green lights lit up the center of the drill cradle. We were ready to start it up. Holly had opened our crate, her hands quickly placing its contents on the sides of the drill skid.
7 mining charges, a spare nuclear slug for the engine, a couple of welders, and some of the heavier manual tools. That's all we have apart from the pitons.
Great,
Gus said.
So when we run out of those, we get to throw things.
It is what it is.
Holly snapped.
Besides, this is probably all for nothing. Cursing us again!
Barb muttered.
Jack, Nate, let's get drilling.
Copy, we said at the same time.
Gus and Barb, provide cover and I'll watch the drill just in case.
Moment of truth time. Jack activated the drill through his HUD, and the lights turned from green to yellow. Jet trails of water spun away from the drill as it ramped up to speed. The platform vibrated hard enough for me to feel it through my skin and shake my teeth. Then the drill descended. The vibration transformed from a light tremor to a deep thrumming hum that rose and fell like waves breaking over rocks at 40 kilometers per hour. 10 or so seconds later, the vibration evened out and settled into something much less alarming. For a moment, I'd been afraid the drill skid would tear itself apart.
Jack, how we doing?
Drill looks good, Holly. Everything green.
Good.
Holly said.
How long before the next drill string section?
4 minutes, I said. Drill dropping fast. Guess the geology nerds were wrong about the ocean floor's composition.
Big shock!
Barb said.
I mean, they didn't even...
Her voice broke off. I raised my head to look at her and realized she picked up a large wrench from the skid.
What is it?
Holly asked. Barb took in a deep breath.
Behind you,
she said. I turned toward the landing platform and a shiver itched its way down my back. The structure's powered lights had gone dark, the bioluminescent material making up the platform glowing a dim green, seemingly in defiance of the yawning darkness.
Okay,
Gus said.
That's not good.
Nate?
Yeah, Holly? I said.
You have a piton launcher. Take up position and watch for any hostiles coming from the direction of the landing platform.
Yes, boss, I said, and turned around to face the darkness. Gus and Barb, both armed as well, took up positions to cover my flank. Well, our flank, really. That left Jack and Holly to mind the drill. Considering we hadn't yet had any problems, it was a good call, especially since we didn't know just what the hell had happened on the platform. We stood in a semicircle while Jack maintained a mere 2 meters distance from the drill. 5 metal-clad statues on the bottom of the ocean floor waited for something bad to happen. My HUD lit up with a warning. It was time to lengthen the drill string. Since I'd been trained to monitor and help Jack with the drill string, I should have been right with him in the center of the drill skid, helping him lift and position the next 2 sections of pipe. But the team needed me right where I was. Holly would have to fill in. The comms chatter between her and Jack lasted more than 2 minutes as he ran her through the process. Holly had sat in on everyone's VR sessions, but that didn't mean she'd picked up more than a few tips and tricks about what each of our responsibilities were. With Jack's help, though, she managed to pick it up fast.
Boss?
Barb called as Holly and Jack finished the next drill string section.
What is it?
Holly sounded testy. She was probably thinking what everyone else was thinking. Something bad was about to happen.
Getting radar contacts,
Barb said, sounding out of breath.
Density? Pretty dense.
Could be nothing more than a tight school of those tiny fish.
Gus offered. He didn't sound like he believed his own words. I sure as shit didn't.
Nate?
I'm ready, Holly, I said.
How fast is it moving?
Holly asked. Barb was silent for a moment before speaking.
It's not moving toward us, just kind of hovering over there.
Something moved through the beams of my suit lights. For all of its color, it might as well have been a dead spot in reality. Light didn't bounce off it so much as disappear into what passed for its flesh. Before I had a chance to say a word, 2 more indiscernible shapes flitted across my vision. While the first had been the size of a closed fist, the next 2 shadows looked to be at least half a meter in both length and width. The natives are restless, I said. The drill's vibrations increased again, the sensations tickling the skin of my feet, and not in a good way.
Jack?
It's okay, Holly,
he said.
Just hit a vein of something a little harder than the other layer. Should flatten out in a minute, but we'll need 2 more sections.
Flatten out?
Holly said.
What the hell do you mean?
Strata, I said. They warned us we might hit veins of iron, or something like iron.
Great,
Gus said. The drill ground again, the vibration rattling my teeth.
Next string,
Jack said. He and Holly began the process of loading the next 2 tubes.
That vibration, Jack, that's not right.
No, boss, it's not,
he said.
I think whomever gave us our intel needs to be spaced.
Something large moved out there in the darkness. Had to be at least 30 meters in length. Had to be. But instead of approaching, the shape hovered there in the darkness. An all but invisible wraith lingering beyond the ambient light cast by our suits and the work lamps.
Nate?
Holly called.
Can you see the landing platform at all?
No, I said. Even the light from the lumen paint had disappeared, swallowed by the darkness or whatever wall of organisms filled the water between our position and the platform. Pretty sure something's blocking the light.
That's what I was afraid of,
Holly said.
Jack?
We need 3 more drill segments,
he said.
Then we can take the core sample. We're not going to make it that long,
Gus said.
Something's moving. I think it's coming.
The ocean floor quaked like the roar of a wounded animal that could only be expressed with vibration. The ground shook beneath us, a micro-quake kicking up debris and particulates, the powerful lights rendered useless. Visibility had dropped from 10 meters to less than a meter.
What the hell was that?
Holly asked. The vibration hit again. One by one, the drill's status lights flipped from green to yellow. The eddies swirling above the drill had turned into thick, vivid orange and yellow whirlpools. My HUD flashed with a warning. The drill was beginning to overheat.
Holly,
Jack said, his voice calm and matter-of-fact.
We need to stop the drill.
She cursed.
Because of the vibration?
No,
Jack said.
Because we've hit something we can't get through.
Or the drill's not rated for, I said.
Right, either way,
He said.
I'm killing it.
Holly cursed again.
Do it,
She said. The ocean floor buckled again, releasing another cloud of debris, and my Casper wobbled slightly as the rock and whatever below us shifted. It felt as though the entire world was cracking in half. The drill announced to my HUD that it had stopped spinning and had entered standby mode, but the vibration continued.
I stopped the drill,
Jack said.
Yeah, great.
Barb said.
It's really helping. Shut up, Barb,
Holly said.
I can't see anything in this mess.
Gus cursed.
Barb, radar?
No,
She said.
too much shit floating around. I can't see anything except noise.
The mech suit shuddered as the rock and sand floor trembled beneath us, the last few shocks hitting hard enough to make the Casper bounce. Guys, I said, if the drill's not on, what's causing that? A geyser of sand and rock spewed upward a few meters in front of me, the final shreds of my sight line suddenly obscured by the debris.
Get to the damn platform,
Holly yelled. Jack shouted.
What about the drill? We only have...
Fuck the drill, get moving.